The keys feel heavy in your hand. A physical manifestation of a 5-figure investment and years of labor. You believe this machine is yours. A private sanctuary of steel and software, but the reality is far more sinister and calculated. In the age of digital feudalism, you are no longer an owner. You are merely a temporary subscriber to a service that can be revoked with a single line of code. Deep within the silicon veins lies a digital gatekeeper designed to betray you. Welcome to the era of the software kill switch. This business autopsy dissects the strategic heist committed by tech giants, where the products you've paid for in full are held hostage behind a paywall you can never truly escape. Imagine buying a car with heated seats, only to find them disabled in winter because you didn't pay the $20 monthly ransom. This is not a glitch. It is the new corporate goldmine called Features as a Service. The autopsy begins with BMW, the pioneer of the heated seat subscription. By locking physical hardware that you already purchased behind a software gate, they attempted to turn a one-time transaction into a perpetual drain on your bank account. They claimed it was about flexibility and customer choice. But the strategic reality was far darker. It was about creating a recurring revenue stream that never ends, regardless of the quality of the product or the satisfaction of the owner. Then there is Tesla, the master of the remote battery lock. They can diminish your car's range or disable its fastest charging speeds from a boardroom thousands of miles away, proving that you are merely a tenant in their ecosystem. This is the dehumanization of ownership. When a brand treats its product as a piece of hardware they still control after the sale, the social contract of trade is officially dead. The consumer becomes a captive data point in a matrix. The autopsy reveals a systemic rot in corporate strategy, where total addressable market is replaced by total lifetime extraction. They are no longer building tools for you. They are building digital shackles designed to look like convenience. John Deere, the titan of the fields, took it even further. They implemented software locks that prevent farmers from repairing their own tractors, forcing them into a high-priced monopoly of authorized service centers that can bankrupt a family farm. Beyond the heavy machinery of the fields, the digital rot spread to the creative heart of our society. Adobe, once a provider of permanent tools, transitioned into a subscription-only model that effectively holds a creator's entire portfolio hostage for a monthly ransom. Apple pioneered the parts pairing nightmare, a strategic engineering choice where every internal component is digitally linked to a single motherboard. If you try to swap a screen or a battery yourself, the device's software will intentionally degrade its own features. The autopsy reveals the digital brick phenomenon, where perfectly functional smart home devices are rendered useless overnight. When a corporation decides to shut down its servers, your expensive security cameras and thermostats transform into overpriced paperweights, proving your ownership was always an illusion. Amazon and the Kindle ecosystem exposed the fragility of the digital library. In a chilling move, they demonstrated they could remotely delete books you purchased from your device without warning. You don't own the story. You only own a temporary license to read it. Toyota attempted to monetize the very airwaves between your hand and your car. They locked the basic remote start function, a feature already built into your key fob, behind a monthly subscription fee, forcing owners to pay for a signal they had already bought. The battle for the right to repair became a war of survival for independent mechanics and farmers alike. Corporations use copyright law as a weapon, claiming that repairing your own property is a form of digital piracy, effectively outlawing the concept of self-reliance. This is the rise of frictional ownership, where companies intentionally make the experience of owning a product annoying, compared to leasing it. By complicating repairs and updates, they nudge the consumer into a perpetual cycle of renting, where the payments never end and the debt grows. HP and the printer ink cartel represent the most aggressive form of this strategic heist. They use software updates to remotely disable printers if they detect a third-party ink cartridge, effectively dictating which fluids you are allowed to put inside the machine you own. The legal lie is buried in the terms of service that no one reads but everyone signs. These digital contracts strip away your traditional property rights, replacing centuries of common law with a corporate-controlled license agreement that leaves you with zero leverage and no recourse. Peloton shocked its users by locking basic treadmill safety features behind a membership wall. You bought the hardware, but to use the manual Just Run mode, you had to pay a recurring fee, proving that even your physical safety is now a subscription service. Mercedes followed BMW down the rabbit hole by offering acceleration as a service. For $1,200 a year, they would digitally unlock the full power of the engine you already paid for, holding your car's true performance hostage for an annual fee. Digital graveyards are piling up in our landfills as abandoned software makes perfectly good hardware useless. When the developer moves on to the next model, they stop the security updates, effectively killing the device and forcing you into a new purchase you didn't need. The autopsy reveals the data mining aspect of the subscription model. When you don't own the device, you don't own the data it collects. You are paying a monthly fee to be tracked, monitored, and analyzed by corporations that sell your habits to the highest bidder. The psychology of rental is designed to eliminate the sense of pride and stability that comes with ownership. By making everything temporary, they ensure you are always in a state of financial insecurity, making you easier to manipulate and more dependent on the brand's ecosystem. Even the physical discs in the gaming industry have become hollow shells. Often, the disc you buy doesn't even contain the game. It's just a digital key that grants you permission to download it. If the store shuts down, your plastic disc is worthless junk. The repair monopoly is the final nail in the coffin of ownership. By restricting access to tools and documentation, corporations ensure that they are the only ones who can fix what you own, allowing them to set arbitrary prices and control the lifespan of the product. Electronic waste is the silent victim of this strategic greed. Because devices are designed not to be repaired, we are creating a toxic environmental legacy that will last for centuries, all for the sake of a recurring revenue line on a quarterly earnings report. Subscription hardware has become a surveillance state inside your home. These devices are cameras and microphones that you pay for, recording your private moments to feed the machine of predictive algorithms. You are essentially paying for your own surveillance. In a desperate act of rebellion, American farmers began using hacked Ukrainian firmware to bypass John Deere's software locks. This shadow market of digital resistance is the only way for them to keep their livelihoods alive in an age of corporate tyranny. The death of inheritance is the most tragic consequence. You cannot leave your digital library, your software tools, or your subscription-based assets to your children. When you die, your ownership expires, leaving your descendants with nothing but empty accounts and deactivated hardware. Subscription fatigue is reaching a breaking point for the global consumer. As every device and feature demands a monthly fee, the middle class is being bled dry by 1,000 tiny cuts, leading to a massive economic contraction that no one saw coming. Tesla's over-the-air downgrades have thrown the used car market into chaos. A car bought with full self-driving capabilities can have that feature stripped away by the manufacturer when it is sold to a second owner, destroying the vehicle's resale value and your financial equity. Apple's battery gate was more than just a performance issue. It was a demonstration of forced obsolescence. By intentionally slowing down older devices via software updates, they proved they could control the lifespan of your property to force an upgrade you didn't want. We are entering a dystopian future where "you will own nothing and be happy" is not just a slogan, but a corporate mandate. This shift marks the transition from a society of citizens to a society of serfs, bound to digital lords. Legislative pushback in Europe is the only thin line of defense remaining. Right-to-repair laws are attempting to claw back the concept of ownership, but corporations are spending millions on lobbying to ensure that your devices remain their permanent property. The brand betrayal is complete. Customers who once felt pride in wearing a logo or driving a specific car now feel a sense of resentment and anxiety, knowing that their relationship with the brand is purely transactional and predatory. The final findings of this autopsy indicate a fatal loss of trust. By prioritizing recurring revenue over customer ownership, these corporations have poisoned their own future, creating a world where the consumer is no longer a partner, but a prisoner. Moral bankruptcy has become the industry standard. When a company calculates that the profit from a subscription outweighs the value of a lifetime customer, the soul of the business has been sold for a temporary spike in the stock price. This is a warning for the next generation of athletes, creators, and entrepreneurs. The tools you use define your freedom. If you don't fight for the right to own them, you are merely building a future on a rented foundation. The keys feel heavy in your hand, a physical manifestation of a 5-figure investment and years of labor. You believe this machine is yours, but in the age of digital feudalism, you are merely a temporary subscriber to your own life.